Welcome to the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola.
Welcome into MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola, the finale for Season 4, coming at you from Norfolk, Virginia, in the MEAC Digital Network studio. I am Mitch Brown, alongside my co-host Jasmine McCoy, or should I say the Jasmine McCoy? I got to keep it consistent over the weeks. But Jazz, they always say to settle it on the field, it's safe to say it's settled for 2024. South Carolina State, the Bulldogs are your MEAC football champions this season.
We are the champions.
There we go, vocals.
There we go. They are headed to the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta 3 weeks from today. I cannot believe it. Mitch, when we started season 4 of the show, every single one of the 6 schools in the conference were still alive for the crown. But as we gear up for the regular season last game today, we know we'll be talking a lot about the incredible season and story that the Bulldogs have put together.
That's right.
Huge roster turnover at the beginning of the new culture of this season with new head coach. So it's just been a great season. And to finish off for the 19th MEAC championship, it's a bittersweet moment.
Yeah, it is a bittersweet moment to be wrapping up, but you know, the bow and cherry on top for South Carolina State is that Chennisberry took over in Orangeburg on December 16, 2023. Wow. It's November 23rd, and he's already won a MEAC championship. Less than this time, less than a year, I'd say. Literally this time last year, he was leading Benedict College in the NCAA D2 playoffs, and I'm sure you've seen it on social media. Bulldog fans, they're booking flights, they're getting the hotelies. It's a party in ATL in a few weeks for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and I cannot wait to see the future of this new era for South Carolina State, especially after a historical season. And
shaking the table up.
I know. Let's take a quick break. We've got more coming on South Carolina State's upcoming second trip to the Celebration Bowl, plus a look ahead to today's games as the regular season ends today. Stick around. MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola, continues after this quick timeout. Welcome back into MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola. It's Jasmine McCoy alongside Mitch Brown. The race to the Celebration Bowl is at the finish line. South Carolina State has won the conference, and they're looking to finish MEAC play undefeated this season.
Be impressive.
Let's take a look at the scores from around the league last week.
We told you the Bulldogs won last week, cruising past Morgan State 54-7 in Baltimore. 26 straight unanswered SC State points before Morgan State scored in this one. Bulldogs improved to 8-2 on the year, 4-0 in league play. Meanwhile, in the other Saturday MEAC matchup last week, Norfolk State doubles up on Delaware State for the 38-19 victory. Spartans improved to 4-7 on the season. Delaware State drops to 1-10.
And this has been the story with South Carolina State in conference play. 3 out of their 4 matchups, dominant wins, and it wasn't any different this past Saturday. 249 yards rushing for South Carolina State, led by 118 yards and a touchdown on 3 carries by Tyler Smith. Goodness gracious. First score came from an Eric Phoenix 31-yard toss to Juice Smith-Brown. Phoenix went for 10 on 11 for the day and got injured in the first half, but his teammates held it down. Tyler Smith, 86 yards to the house. Mr. Smith is one of them ones, okay? 430 total yards of offense for State as they win their first title since 2021. Here's Coach Barry after the historic win.
We played against a good Morgan State University football team. Coach Wilson's always going to have his team ready to go. But our young men, they had it on their mind. They knew what was at stake, and they came and played extremely well in all 3 phases. I thought we did some really good things.
You know, it goes to show the job that Coach Barry has done. You know, he brought a championship pedigree in from Benedict to South Carolina State, which already has won a number of championships, and those guys gel pretty quickly. And that's why those guys are hitting on all cylinders.
Norfolk State and Delaware State battled down here in the 7-5-7 last week, and this game was back and forth in the first half. It's been the Jaden backfield for the Hornets this season. Jaden Jenkins put up DSU 13-yard touchdown run late in the second quarter. But for Norfolk State, it was Jalen making things happen. Their quarterback threw not 1, but 2 tutties in the second half. This one from 24 yards out to Cameron Thomas to give the Spartans the lead, 17-13. Daniel sandwiched a 1-yard touchdown run in between his 2 passing scores. 3 scores in total in the third quarter for Daniels. Norfolk State rolls 38-19 to beat Del State.
I thought coming out of halftime, we knew the mission. We knew what we had to do, and the guys they took the coaching. Wasn't a whole lot of negative things said at halftime. It was simple. Just let's go do simple better. Let's trust our process. Go 1-0. And what does that look like? Let's make some adjustments. Let's do what we got to do to win a football game.
We got a young team, and they're playing hard. They made some young mistakes. Especially on defense, they hit us with a couple double moves, and our eyes were just kind of bad. They were freshmen. So they're learning. We just got to get better this week and keep grinding and keep preparing. But like I said, I like where we are, as a team, as a program. It's just going to take some time, to get these young guys to focus for 60 minutes.
Following North Carolina Central's 26-3 win over Howard last Friday night, an altercation broke out on the field between both programs. As a result, the MEAC suspended 37 players and coaches in total. 2 assistant coaches, 1 from each school, 19 players from North Carolina Central, 17 for Howard.
It's time now to take a look at our MEAC Players of the Week. Your Offensive Player of the Week is North Carolina Central running back Jamari Taylor. He ran for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win over Howard, along with 6 catches for 78 yards.
And once again, Howard defensive back Robert Jones III is your Defensive Player of the Week. Another interception for Jones, who finished with 6 tackles as well. Delaware State's Dwayne Carter is your Rookie of the Week after the freshman defensive back finished with 2 pass breakups and 2 tackles against Norfolk State last weekend.
North Carolina Central's A.C. Moore is your Offensive Lineman of the Week after logging a 92% blocking grade and 2 pancake blocks. And last but not least, South Carolina State's Kyle Gallegos is Specialist of the Week after going 6 of 7 on point after attempts and 6 of his 9 kickoffs resulting in a touchback.
Boy, he's got a leg on him.
Yeah, I was about to say, he
got a golden foot. When we come back, we'll take a look at our final Saturday of MEAC football here in 2024. We're previewing matchups, plus later in the show, we tap in with you-know-who. It's Emory Hunt, so stick around. Countdown to Kickoff continues after this break. Welcome back in the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, powered by Coca-Cola. One last Saturday slate with all 6 teams in action. I know, shed the tears. I got the Kleenexes for you. Now, with the last Saturday comes senior day for a class of players that close out their collegiate careers. Let's start with North Carolina Central, Delaware State. 1 p.m. kickoff in this one coming up in Dover today. It is very busy. Not only that game, but also the MEAC Volleyball Championship up there as well.
Yeah, and Mitch, it hasn't been the outcome of the season that North Carolina Central had in mind. But as Eagles head coach Trey Oliver said on Monday, they have so much to play for. We see this season how much it matters to win the details battles each week. Now Central is 3-1 in conference play and 7-3 on the season. So a win today would give them a 3rd straight season of 8 or more wins. The Hornets, who have been close but yet to upset a MEAC team this season, could use a closing statement for momentum into the next season. They'll prepare for a lighter Central team with 19 players out for suspension. Mitch talked about it earlier. Let's hear from Lee Hull and Coach Oliver ahead of today's matchup.
You want momentum going into the offseason. And, everybody wants a, 11-0, 12-0 record, but at the end of the time, you need to be trending in the right direction. You need some momentum going into the offseason.
So it's important for me to go out the right way, and that's our theme. It's senior day. Play for the seniors, play for your teammates. If you think you can't do it, look over at one of those seniors, and they put 4 or 5. Some of them been here 6 years. And pour their heart out and soul for this program.
The other 1 p.m. kick is between Howard and Morgan State, a battle of the Beltway in Baltimore. Howard comes into the game at 4-7, looking to finish the season with 2 wins in MEAC play. Not what they came in expecting either, but Morgan State has a chance to finish the season 6-6 and 3-2 in conference play. Big game for both squads, but you look at what Morgan State's done this season, you feel like they're close to breaking through in the conference. Last week, the Bears had a chance to gain the tiebreak advantage over South Carolina State, but the game got out of hand early. The Bears never recovered. Nonetheless, this will be the last home game for Bears all-time sack leader Elijah Williams and many more seniors. He's on the watch list for Black College Football Player of the Year. So Howard will also be light without 16 of their players due to suspension, 17, but they've got an all-conference player playing in their last game, a couple of them, So let's hear from Coach Damian Wilson and Larry Scott ahead of this matchup.
And you want to make sure that as you go into the next 360-odd whatever days, that you're doing it on the right note, that you wrap it up with some positive momentum. You do it with a win. So then you can go attack the offseason the way you need to with the right frame of mind.
I think the seniors and the guys that we have in place, they understand the importance of the game as the next game up opportunity to to end the season on a winning note, give these finish 500. All of those things are at stake. Send the seniors out the right way.
Yeah, good stuff from those coaches right there. When we come back, we take a look at our final kickoff of the day, South Carolina State and Norfolk State. MEAC Countdown to Kickoff continues after this quick timeout. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back in the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, powered by our friends at Coca-Cola. We are winding down the season after today's triple header. The final game to kick off in the 1 p.m. hour at 1:30 p.m. South Carolina State hosting Norfolk State to close out the season. It's a victory lap for the Bulldogs, but they will be the first to take a page out of the late, great Mamba's book and tell you the job is nowhere near finished.
It is nowhere near finished. And you remember when we talked to Coach Berry back during the summer,
I do.
His energy trickles down to his leaders and from there to the rest of the roster. And that's why you've seen this collective effort to run and grab this conference title.
Yeah, absolutely. They have looked good all throughout conference play. And they enter this week ranked 23rd in the Stats Perform FCS Top 25 poll, making their debut in the rankings this season. This is the Bulldogs, amazingly enough, first time in the poll since 2013.
Yeah, and 7 straight wins for South Carolina State. Norfolk State is looking to pick up their 5th win of the season. The biggest takeaway from our pregame notes is that South Carolina State has outscored their last 2 opponents 92-21. The Spartans won last week, but narrowly lost to Morgan State by a point the week before. It's the final week of the season, so both coaches expect to see a competitive game between the numbers.
Anytime you get a chance to finish your last game tasting a victory is a good momentum going into the offseason. It gives you an opportunity to first of all see where your program stacks up against this year's best in our conference.
It's my job to make sure that these Bulldogs are ready to rock and roll, and we will be. We'll be ready to go, man. But we have some seniors, man, that'll be playing their last game at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium, Willie E. Jeffries Field. And it's important that we go out the right way. We know what's ahead of us, down the line, but it's November. And we always talk about being, playing good ball in September, hitting your strides in October so we can make it in November to remember. And we're in November.
So regardless of the results this weekend, SC State is headed to Atlanta in 3 weeks. But let's bring in our eye in the film room, Emory Hunt. Emory, the Bulldogs showed it on the field. They were the best team this season in the conference. What was your takeaway from this run from them, and how do you think they'll fare in the Celebration Bowl against either Southern or Jackson State?
You have to give a ton of credit to Chennis Berry and what he's been able to do in his first season at South Carolina State. You talk about someone that took over a football team, inheriting a program led by legendary head coach Buddy Pugh, and gave him a stable situation to where, hey, they had some tradition, they've had some success, they've had guys that have gone on to play pro ball. Here is a program for you all ready to go. Don't mess it up. And what he's done is just continue to build on top of that great foundation and elevated it. He started his career at South Carolina State with a loss to Florida A&M in the opener. Then after that, you saw him rack up wins versus teams out of conference, versus the SoCon's Citadel, versus the Big South OVC Association's Tennessee Tech, who's in contention for their conference title. He knocked off North Carolina A&T of the big, strong CAA. So he went out of conference, got those victories, got back in the mix, and got 7 straight wins heading into the last game of the season, and ultimately getting the bowl bid to the Celebration Bowl. And how he has done it, to be honest, it's old school defense. They've done a great job defensively. 20 points a game they've given up, 3.2 yards a carry, and they're excellent on third down defense at 31%, only giving up on third downs. So offensively, 34 points a game. They can run the heck out of the football. They're balanced on offense. When you look at that quarterback, Eric Phoenix, and what he has done coming over to reconnect with Coach Berry has been phenomenal. So for me, it's been a great situational moment for South Carolina State. You talk about a combination of philosophy from Chennis Berry, the offensive dominance, the defensive dominance, and all three things are the reason why they're going on to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl. Again, Eric Phoenix may end up being the MEAC Offensive Player of the Year because of how well he has played. And we talk about the defense. You look at, guys going on to postseason All-Star games. So this is a situation where South Carolina State is and has proven that they are the best team in the MEAC. Now, just taking a look ahead, who they may face in the Celebration Bowl from the SWAC, you got Jackson State. You have to deal with that explosiveness. Irv Mulligan is one outstanding tailback. He has speed for days. They are explosive on offense. When you look at Southern has a very solid defense, but they're also very good along the offensive line. That's one of Coach Berry's old stomping grounds. Not surprised the offensive line is good at Southern because he's laid that foundation there. But when you look at how they run the football, they're dominant in their run game. So it'll be fascinating to see who comes out of the SWAC. But know this, where they will face a South Carolina State team, they can travel anywhere and be successful because their run game will travel, their defense will travel, and the mindset and philosophy coming from Chennis Berry will always travel and translate well with this football team.
Well, all right. It's been a pleasure this season, Emory. Thanks for all your analysis for another season here on Countdown to Kickoff. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back in the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff. The volleyball regular season awards were announced earlier this week by the conference. Howard claimed 3 of the top awards. There, Raya McKinnon collected her 3rd consecutive MEAC Player of the Year accolades to headline the all-conference teams. She was named Player of the Week 5 times throughout the season and leads the conference in nearly 5 points per set, and she had 400 total kills. Her teammate, literally, Leah Reeves was named the MEAC Setter of the Year. She leads the MEAC with 8.74 assists per set throughout the season, and she also claimed Setter of the Week honors 8 times this year.
And Delaware State's Paige Ahakuela was dubbed the MEAC Rookie of the Year. The freshman is the first student-athlete from DSU to garner a regular season major award for the Hornets. She nabbed 7 Rookie of the Week honors throughout the year.
How about that?
Yeah, Norfolk State libero Lily Rose Pichon was named the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. She notched double-digit digs in 24 of 27 matches, including 4 matches of 20-plus digs.
That's huge.
Yeah.
They are true athletes out there moving around in that small radius. And rounding out the top volleyball honors as a MEAC Coach of the Year is Sean Kupferberg of Howard University. Coach Kupferberg led the Bison to a 21-5 regular season finish with a perfect 14-0 in matches in conference action. It continues tonight with the semifinal matches beginning at 5:30 p.m. at Delaware State. A champion will be crowned tomorrow, November 24th, in the championship match. First serve set for 8:30 p.m., broadcasting live on ESPNU.
And the cross-country teams finished out their season at the NCAA regional races last weekend. On the women's side, the Norfolk State Spartans finished 23rd in the Southeast Regional, led by freshman Yvonne Sandui, clocking a 6K time of 22 minutes, 49 and a half seconds to finish 114th out of 250 runners. And the Howard Lady Bison finished 24th as a team in the Mid-Atlantic Regional, led by MEAC first place finisher Jocelyn Crosby, who ran the 6K in 21 minutes and 44 seconds. Yeah, she's killing it. In men's action, Norfolk State finished 12th as a team at the Southeast Regional behind Power 4 programs of UVA, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, NC State, Duke, and Kentucky, just to name a few. 2-time MEAC first place finisher Gideon Segay led the way with a 10K time. Check this out, 30 minutes, 35 seconds flat. Segay placed 23rd overall to earn all region honors, the first Spartan to do so since 2006.
That is really impressive.
Very impressive.
I need those lungs and feet and stamina.
Well, can I just say, when I was coming here on an airplane, I had to run terminals, and we don't want to know my time for that.
I know how it
We're
goes
just
out your way.
At home. I'm going to tell you at home.
I'm gonna train in Atlanta's airport. That's what Bulldogs fans are going to be doing soon. But meanwhile, in hoops, shout out to Norfolk State guard Brian Moore Jr. and Maryland Eastern Shore's Ketron Shaw for being named MEAC Men's Co-Players of the Week. Del State's Manir Newton, Defensive Player of the Week, while Howard's Blake Harper is Rookie of the Week.
In women's hoops, Coppin State's Layla Lawrence is Player of the Week after a 20-piece McNugget performance after South Carolina and Virginia Tech. Delaware State's Nayla Abram is Rookie of the Week, and Morgan State's Layla Fair is Defensive Player of the Week. Keep up with hoops and everything else MEAC on MEACsports.com.
All right, when we come back, we will take one last chance to pick these games correctly. That's coming up in just a few minutes. 3 games on the slate in the 1 p.m. hour. Countdown to Kickoff wraps up after this quick timeout.
Welcome back as we wrap up the final segment of MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, powered by Coca-Cola. Mitch, it's that time. One more round of predictions. You've done all right this year. I will admit, so today is my birthday. And so my birthday wish is that all my predictions are correct.
Well,
today.
Happy birthday to you first and foremost.
We went the whole show. I was trying to hold it in. So
I hope with this year comes more wisdom. Because I do think I am in the lead if we go back and look at the picks, but we can look at the film later.
Yay, we're even after one season. It took you a little bit to get that.
Look,
Just one
man,
season.
you know what? It's a battle, not the war. But listen, let's start with North Carolina Central, Delaware State.
Okay.
Speaking of battles, 1 p.m. kick in Dover. Busy weekend up there, as we said. I've got North Carolina Central in this one. Shouts to Jamari Taylor. Got over 1,000 yards rushing on the season for him. I think Central's depth will be able to get them a win in this game. This is what Trey Oliver has been building his program for, to use a game like this as a building block. He said, none of the foolishness. We still have a lot to play for. This is a game going into the recruiting season and signing period that you want to show recruits that you are on the way up and trending in the right direction. So I think North Carolina Central galvanized and continues and finishes the season out strong.
Yeah, I'm taking North Carolina Central too. This is a team, like you mentioned, Trey Oliver hitting on those major recruiting points, because this is not the season they wanted to have. And so they have to kind of pick up that momentum, especially out with some guys from everything that happened in the last game. It's not the best look. So this is time for Central to make a little statement moving forward, and I think they'll get the job done against Delaware State.
Absolutely. Up next, Howard, Morgan State. Of course, Howard also in that same position of, look, let's get it together. Before you know it, we'll be at Countdown to Kickoff Media Day once again in July. I am going to take Morgan State in this one. What happened?
No, because I picked them too. So I was like, of course you do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, bet. Well, here it goes.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Come on.
Morgan State. I'm taking
Okay.
Morgan State in this one. I think that their defense, despite what happened against South Carolina State, look, South Carolina State's been on a different level this season for them, but I'm taking Morgan State because this is the final game for Elijah Williams. I got him getting a couple of sacks in this one. He's been phenomenal this season, and I think as you look at like Shrine Bowl games and trying to play yourself into NFL scouts' eyes, this is the show-out game for them. But Howard has the same situation with players like Kenny Gallup Jr., Robert Jones III, trying to get those scout looks as well. I think it'll be a battle. I'll take Morgan State at home in this one.
Okay, I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to go with Howard.
Here you go.
I'm going with Howard. I think Ja'Shawn Scroggins is going to win the quarterback battle against Deuce Taylor. I just, looking at film, I just like him a lot. And this Morgan State team, they won games that they should have blown teams out by. You think of Delaware State and Norfolk State. So I think this is the time for Howard, the Bison, to just, again, momentum going into next season. That quarterback battle, I think, I'm going with Scroggins on that one. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going with Howard.
It's so interesting. No two seasons are ever the same,
Yes,
So
yes.
to go from defending champions to here to rebuild is certainly going to be fascinating to see what they do in the offseason. The final game of the day, South Carolina State, Norfolk State, 1:30 p.m. kick in Orangeburg. I'm going South Carolina State in this one. I got love for my Spartans and the Spartan Legion, but I think that South Carolina State is going to continue to march towards finishing the job that they have set. And they will use this certainly as practice 3 weeks from now to go out to Atlanta and try and win the Celebration Bowl. They got close before, and they're looking to do it this time. So I think, that they've been here before. They've done it. They do it again this week and put them on the right track going into the Celebration Bowl, try and get that thing again.
Yeah, it's no surprise I'm going with South Carolina State too. The Eric Phoenix train continues. It's going, baby. And this Chenesbury team, they're so disciplined, and he's the type of coach that's not going to allow his team, just because they were announced champions, to just come in and be all lackadaisical. That is not the type of coach he is. Obviously, we can tell he's phenomenal first year. He's not going to do that. So I think this is a team that's going to easily get their dub, start preparing for 3 weeks in the Celebration Bowl. So,
and you know the interesting thing about this game, you mentioned Eric Phoenix. Like we said, he went out with that injury in the last game. Do they use this as a chance to rest and recover, or did they just march forward? This gamesmanship. We'll see when they kick off here at 1:30 for sure. But with that being said, we appreciate everyone who has tuned in this season. Shout out to everyone behind the scenes that makes this show happen.
yes, thank you guys so much. We are so appreciative. Thank you for tuning in every Saturday with us. Big shout out to Commissioner Stills, Patricia Mayfield, Randy behind the scenes, just everyone behind the scenes. We are so appreciative, and we are very, very grateful. So,
Gil, Jamie, Wyatt,
yes.
I could keep going.
We
The
could
list
keep
go
going.
down. Miss
We'll
Dominique
be
as
here
well. We will be here all day. We cannot forget about Grand Furniture for
Yes.
making sure we stay comfortable on set. And a big up to our friends at Coca-Cola for making sure this show happens season after season. This is season 4. We'll see you same time next year for season 5, folks. We're signing off. She's Jasmine McCoy. I'm Mitch Brown. Have a blessed Saturday afternoon.
enjoy the football.